Good morning, guys. This is Tex. Today is Monday, July 9th, I think it is. We're taking a look at a video from some live trading this morning. I took a trade on Apple. We're looking at the Apple chart up in the upper right corner here. It's opening really strong, and so I'm going to see if I can get in here on the VWAP, which is right around 189.55. You can see I have my order entry box set at 189.55 for 100 shares, but I haven't actually submitted an order to the market yet. I just want to see how this reacts. It's looking strong though. So I want to see if we can get filled down closer to VWAP, and we'll risk off the low of day down there on the wick of that, the bottom wick of that second candle, that second 2-minute candle there. Okay, so I just submitted my order to the market. So we're sitting on the bid, and we just got filled on that pullback. So all right, and obviously this is pre-recorded, so this is not actually live footage. I'm narrating this after the fact, but I just thought I would talk you through my thought process on this. Apple was really strong last Friday, and I was looking for a continuation move on it today. It was strong in the pre-market, so I really felt good about Apple. It was my top pick for my watch list on the day. So I was focusing pretty much all of my attention on that. You can see I have 6 charts open with all the stocks that I wanted to watch today. And then usually I'll switch back over to the main screen that I showed you in my setup video, where I focus on one stock at a time. But off the open right here, I kind of like to keep an eye on everything. And I've got it all on the main screen here, so the video capture here is catching it all for you guys. Unfortunately, you're not seeing the market, but the market opened strong. So I'm feeling good about this Apple trade. I have to say that my emotions were at ease, I guess. Of course, Apple doesn't have as much range as Tesla, so that's why I took 100 shares on it. And I'm watching Apple right here. I want to see if this is staying strong. I want to see about possibly adding another 100 shares for the push up to that daily resistance level that is marked on the chart. You can't quite see it yet. I think it's around 191 if I'm not mistaken, or 190 something, I forget. We'll see it in a minute, but yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the other charts. This is my main screen that I usually use. Switch this back over to the 5-minute. I was marking up support and resistance. Yeah, you can see how Apple gapped up in the morning. It was strong in the pre-market, and it's pushing up really good right now. So I'm feeling really good about this. I'm going to look at possibly adding here. I'll use my hotkey to put an order on the bid for 100 shares on this pullback. So let's keep an eye on this. It's 189.80, low 80s on the bid right now. There you go. I just used my hotkey for 100 shares at 189.84. That's just under the bid there. And let's see if we can get filled. There it is. I just got filled. You actually saw for a moment there my order appeared purple on the bid at the top of the bid there on the ARCA market. And yeah, it's again, so now I'm in 200 shares on Apple, and like I was saying, Apple just doesn't have the same kind of range as Tesla, so you can take more shares with it and still keep your risk minimal. Since I did add, I could keep my stop down at the low of day, but most likely I wouldn't let it go that far. If it cracks below VWAP, I'd go ahead and stop out. So I did move my stop up to basically between VWAP and the 50 EMA when I added, since it brought my average up to 189.69. So now I'm looking at this daily resistance here at 190.24 and putting in an order here at 190.25 for half of my position, 100 shares. I haven't submitted it yet. Let's just wait and see what Apple does here. Let's see if it just sails right through that level. We might be able to get a little bit better price for it. There's the daily chart. You can see I marked 190.24. And then the next key level is going to be 191.16 area. Again, I mark all my support and resistance from the daily chart. It lines up so beautifully on the intraday chart. So that's the way I do it. But I will sometimes mark support and resistance just from intraday from the last couple of days, because those levels can come into play as well. So I haven't submitted an order to sell anything yet. I'm just kind of watching level 2 here. I don't see any heavy selling pressure just yet, but I suspect when we get up to that 190.24 area, there's going to be some more people jumping on the ask to take some profits. You'll notice also how I made time and sales like really big here from top to bottom on the screen. just because it was so tiny in the level 2 window before that it was too hard to read the tape. And I'm actually finding it very useful to have the tape real big and prominent like that. Like, bam, look at that. Look how many people just hit the ask right there. All those highlighted and green like that, that's people hitting the ask. All right, so we're over that resistance level. I put an order out to sell half at 190.45, just below the 50-cent level, but you know, I may not get that fill. So I'm trying to remember. I think I do. I modify that. That's what I do. I modify it down to 190.30. I think it is. Yeah. Oh, and that's right. I do remember now. As soon as I submitted the order, I got filled on it. Can you believe that? Look at that. Pushed up to 190.38, I guess. Oh, man. So if I had left that order at 190.45, I bet I would have gotten filled there. So I've got to do better about sticking with my plan on my orders. I do tend to have a habit of changing them. But I am getting better about submitting orders manually, like you just saw, instead of just using my hotkeys to get in and out. I will use the hotkeys to get in and out when things are moving very fast, so they're very, very good for that. But I have set up my hotkeys so that I have the option to get in and also scale out of a position by both adding liquidity and taking liquidity. And honestly, I've actually had really good luck by adding liquidity most of the time. And the benefit to that obviously is that you save a little money on ECN fees, which is not a huge deal at this point because I'm not taking huge size, but it's a good habit to get into, I think. And it instills patience as well because you have to wait for the fill, and sometimes you don't get a fill. So I'm going to put a line in here with my average price. Since I sold half of my position, now my average price is up at 189.84. I'm going to change that to yellow, and I'm just doing that for a nice easy reference on the chart. Obviously my stop is now at break even. Absolutely not going to give up the profits that I've closed, $79 in profits on those 100 shares that I sold there. So we're just going to let this ride. If the market holds strong today, then Apple will probably push up quite a bit today. So I'm hoping to at least get up to that 191 area and take some more off the table up there. And then it's possible that Apple could pull back to VWAP at some point later today, later this morning. It all depends on the market. Now, of course, this video is not live, as I mentioned, so I've got hindsight. I can tell you that the market did end up pulling back quite a bit. Kind of sold off, actually, this morning. And now that I'm recording this going into lunchtime, it's moving back up. But yeah, I got lucky on this Apple trade in the sense that I got in on the open before the market really kind of started to take a shit, and just Apple went down with it. So I can't be upset about that. But I feel really good about this trade just because I felt like this is one of my best executed trades. I got in right where I needed to get in on the VWAP off the open. As far as adding, I don't know if it was the best place to add, but I did try to add on a pullback there when Apple was showing strength, and I felt good about the trade. So anyways, we're going to keep an eye on this, and I believe what happens here, Apple pushes up to this 190.50 area. Yeah, and I think it consolidates for a bit. And then I looked at the Qs, the NASDAQ, and saw that it was pulling back quite a bit. So that's what made me go ahead and decide to take another half off up here at 190.50. I think is where I get filled at. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out here. Hopefully I kind of keep the video short. It's not a really super long trade. But when you're actually trading in the moment, time flies. But after the fact, you go back and watch the video and you realize, wow, I was actually in this trade for 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever the case is, and it almost doesn't feel that long, and when you're in the trade. So yeah, you can see the Apple kind of pushed up from that 190.24 resistance level to the penny there on the daily chart. Now we're kind of consolidating here around the $0.50 mark. So I'm kind of watching this. I want to see this get up to closer to 191 before I start taking some profit, because I only have 100 shares left. But at the same time, I'm keeping an eye on the market. And I think it was right about now when I saw the market starting to pull back. So unfortunately, yeah, I don't have that on the screen, so I can't really show you. But switching over to the main view here, you can see the Apple is looking good on all the charts, but it is starting to get extended. So on the one hand, I'm kind of thinking at this moment that a bigger pullback could be coming. It did have that pullback there at the 190.24 price, but it's driving up pretty hard right now. So I'm not sure what to expect out of it. So you can see I'm putting in an order here at 191.05 for my entire position, 100 shares. I haven't submitted it. So the level's at 191.17, so I set it at 191.10 just to ensure that we get a fill. The nice thing about Apple is that the spreads are generally not that bad at all. So certainly compared to like Tesla. So that's one reason why Apple's a good stock to begin with as learning as a trader if you want to start trading large cap stocks. The spread's generally not bad. It's not too crazy expensive. It's not in the $300 price range or anything yet anyways. And I don't know, it just trades very predictably. So I'm probably going to spend a lot more time focusing on Apple. It's going to be one of my favorite stocks to trade after the success I had on it today. But I'm trying to stay as humble as I can, because I know that a win today can just as easily be a loss tomorrow or a loss later today if I take another trade. So the thing that I'm most happy about, and the reason I wanted to share this video with you, is because I think this is probably my best executed trade, along with Nike as well, which I kind of went over with you in a previous video. But this one I was capturing a recording of the trading, the live trading, so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of narrate it for you guys and kind of walk you through my thought process on it. But basically, that VWAP join strategy that I've been focusing on works very nice off the open. If you have a nice strong stock like this that's holding up, you can almost every time get in at VWAP and risk off the low of day. So yeah, it looks like it hit a high there, and this is where it starts to consolidate. So it's really it's a tough call, because you've got that bull flag up from the 190.24, right? And then now you're starting to see a consolidation here. So this is almost like the flag forming, right? I thought about adding back another 100 shares right here, because this was looking kind of strong. It was looking like it was flagging, and then it was going to push up even higher to at least 191, possibly to that resistance at 191.17, I think it is. So I really did. I thought about adding another 100 shares here. But then when I was looking at the market, I noticed that it was starting to pull back even more, and that's really what caused me to just not add. I decided that it was probably safer to just let these 100 shares ride and see what I can get out of it. So I'm going to actually just kind of fast forward a little bit, because I think this consolidates for a little bit here. Let me just fast forward just a bit, and we'll see if okay, so I'm still holding 100 shares here. You can see that it's actually still consolidating. Still consolidating right here. Yeah, and I don't have a chart of the market, because we're looking at a video playback here. I wish I could show you, but the Nasdaq was really pulling back, I think right about now, and it started to test VWAP, and then it cracked. It cracked VWAP. So once I saw the Nasdaq crack VWAP, that's when I took another 50 shares off of Apple, right up here around this price range, I think it was. Let me just fast forward a bit more. But I mean, overall, this still looks pretty bullish, right? It's sort of flagging. So at this point, I'm not rushing to sell anything. There's still a lot of people hitting the ask here, jumping in, probably because they're thinking this looks bullish and they just want in. Now there's some people hitting the bid. You see how awesome that time in sales is, the way it highlights all that. So, if I start seeing like tons and tons of red coming through on time and sales like that, people just jumping out, literally slamming the bid, short slamming the bid, that's a huge exit indicator. And having that real big right in front of my face, it makes it, I think, a lot easier to feel good about a trade or feel bad about a trade. And certainly save yourself, protect your profits, or get out and minimize your loss if that's the case. All right, so yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I wish I had just taken everything off up here. But again, I tend to take everything off too early, and I end up getting such a small percentage of the move. So I really didn't want to do that. I've already locked in almost $80 in profit, so there's absolutely no reason to take this off yet. But I would absolutely not let it get down to my entry. And I believe I take the last of my position off at VWAP, but we'll see that in a bit. Let me just fast forward a bit more here. So this is where I'm starting to feel uneasy about it. In fact, I have an order right here. You see it is purple. There it goes. I just got filled. So I was sitting on the ask for 50 shares in my position right here around this price range. Because look how long this is consolidating here. I mean, yeah, we're making higher lows, but this is taking longer to go than I would like. And the other thing is, the big thing is the NASDAQ's cracking. The NASDAQ has already cracked below VWAP. So on the NASDAQ chart, I'm looking at the QQQ. I'm looking at the Qs, and it's below VWAP. So that's why I went ahead and got out half of my position here. And now you can see here comes quite a drop. So I was certainly feeling good about that decision. Both the SPY and the NASDAQ were pulling back pretty hard. The Dow, though, was booming. It was just ripping up. But I think a big part of that was because Caterpillar and Boeing were pulling it up. Unfortunately, I didn't get those. I was focusing on Apple, but that's the way it goes. I can't be upset because I got a really good trade on Apple here. So we've locked in $115 in closed profit, and we're just letting the last 50 shares ride here. We're going to see how it reacts here at this 190.24 area. If this holds its support and goes higher, that's great. Probably won't add, though, just based on what I'm seeing in the market. But at least I still have 50 shares in my pocket in case Apple does push up to that 191 area. If it pulls down here to VWAP, my thinking at the time was, I'll probably just take it off. If it just pulls down here to VWAP and acts like it's not going to hold VWAP, I'll probably just take it off. And that's exactly what I did. And again, this is kind of one of those things that when you're trading mid to especially large caps, you've always got to have one eye on the market. And you don't want to necessarily make all your decisions based on what the market's doing, but it is a good indicator as to whether the trade you're in is actually going to hit your profit target or not. And my profit target being up at 191, still a ways away. And with the market pulling back like it was, I really just didn't feel like it was going to make it up there. So that's why I took the half off there, and that's why I'm going to ultimately take the last of my position off down here at VWAP. So let me just fast forward a little bit more. See, here we go. I mean, bam, we just cracked right through that support level. And now we're fixing to come down here and test VWAP. There's inevitably going to be some buying here at VWAP. There's some people that are going to be dip buying this at VWAP. But I'm not seeing like a lot of people here on the bid at VWAP. You got some here, but I'm not seeing as much as I would probably expect to see. And I think that's because, the smart people are looking at the NASDAQ, they're looking at the SPY, and they're seeing how much that it's pulling back right now. they're probably not too interested in dip buying right here off of VWAP. Normally this would be a good place to buy or add, is off the VWAP. It pulls back to VWAP and then pushes higher, right? And we're making a higher low. This would normally be a good place to add. But again, you know, when I'm kind of watching the market, I'm looking at it as probably not, you know, probably don't want to add. So right here, I'm starting to feel a little uneasy at this point. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to let it, you know, go down past my average price, my entry there. I think right about here is when I'm going to go ahead and take the rest off. And I believe I just used my hotkey to get in on the ask. Yeah, you know, seeing this, look how much red's coming through on time and sales. It's testing VWAP. I'm not seeing a lot of heavy buying pressure here. So I'm on the ask right now at 190.07, trying to get a fill here. And probably could have got a little bit of a better fill, but I felt like this thing is probably going to just pull right back down to my entry here. Seeing all this red come through, yeah, starting to feel a little uneasy about it now. There I am right there sitting on the ask, right there, purple. Kind of pops up and we got filled. So there you go. So yeah, I mean, there it is. We locked in $127 in profit. All with what, two entries and 3 exits. So you know, not too bad on commissions. And the important thing is that I got a nice entry. I had sensible exits. I also, you know, used my order entry here instead of my hotkeys as much. And when I did use my hotkeys, I added liquidity, which meant that, you know, I had to be patient and wait for that fill to come to me. So yeah, all good things. Listen, guys, that's going to wrap up this short live trading video on Apple. Hope you found it enjoyable, and I always appreciate you watching. So if you are trading, trade safe, and we'll see you soon.